What's up, everybody? Welcome to another spectacular, vernacular, amazing episode of this Uncanny Earth. I do not know why my camera does not want to zoom in on my handsome, illustrious face. As always, I'm your host, Solomon, and to my left, right, to my right. This is crazy because it's different.
You gotta do the
Switched.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. To my right, but to your left is yeah, you guys, whatever. It's that guy. He's here all the time. He does things. He drinks.
I live
and
here.
stuff,
I
does
live
things.
here. I shift a little on the couch and turn all the stuff on. And
That's all he does. He
I
legit
get up and have a
lives.
snack.
He legit just sits on the couch. He's like for any of you that have ever seen Half Baked, the guy on the
Yeah.
couch. He's legit
Sincerely,
the guy on the couch.
the guy on the couch.
The guy on the couch. Oh man, that's good stuff. And he just goes right back to sleep again. So, but what's up, everybody? Tonight we are talking about possessions, not your material goods either. Possessions. We did a show on demonic possessions a few months back, but I feel like we need to do another one. But this time we're going to do it on just possessions in general, and the psyche behind them. I think that's the best thing for it. As you know, I have my lights going on in the back. However, I don't know why with StreamYard, like it'll show the reflection of my monitor in the back, and other stuff it doesn't do that. So I'll have to figure out a way to get around that.
It's probably the lighting from when you got to use the StreamYard. It's probably got to be a certain level of lighting.
It's fine. I could probably just reach
like YouTube. When you load up YouTube on your phone, it's always brighter than what your phone's set at, just because it's YouTube.
And I could probably do. Oh, that probably doesn't work though, because it doesn't work because it's connected to another device. So we'll figure it out some other time. I'm not really gonna mess with it right now. We got to get this back in focus. Anyways, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing today, man? How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good day? Everybody have a good night? Good weekend? It's a little chilly in the OH10 right now. It's super chilly in the OH10. I love it. I love this weather. It's my favorite weather.
Yeah, it's been. It was like 80 degrees one day. And then ever since, every day since then, it's been like 60s high at the most, and then like 40s at night. So we're getting into that fall weather.
Real quick apology for anybody that tuned in last week. StreamYard decided it wanted to do an update when we were doing the show. So it booted us, and we did a whole show, and it caught none of it. It didn't get on FB, it didn't get on YouTube. It went nowhere. The audio
it is on Spreaker still, so you can listen, which is funny because it's a show and tell show, and you're supposed to be able to see it. So the one show we do that you have to see to know what we're talking about, it's audio.
You guys straight up missed probably like some really cool stuff that we had shown off, books and things. But
at least we talked about some of the titles and things, so at least people can be like, "Oh, okay, I'll check that out."
Yeah, 100%. They can go out and do what they got to do to get that. But yeah, so. There will not be a show next week. That is because I am speaking at WV Case in Morgantown, West Virginia. By all means, feel free to come out, hang out, come say hi, come shake my hand, come tell me you're a fan of the show. I'll be signing autographs if you guys have any. I don't know if there are any, but we'll have some. Thanks, shouts out to Les Odell, big Les Odell, the big homie. You know, always looking out. So he sent me a thing, and we're getting this rolling, and I will be. My co-host cannot make it. He has prior engagement, so you will not see him.
October is like a know-nothing month for me.
You probably will not see him for a long time with me in terms of like get-togethers. Probably not till maybe after the holidays. Probably after Christmas, maybe sometime.
We might squeeze something in right before November, but in November sometime, like right before Thanksgiving comes up. But after that, we'll probably not be hanging out for a bit.
But that's how it is, man. That's how it is in the city. Also, our documentaries are being pushed back. I just don't have the time right now to do it this month because I have that thing coming up, and then the week after that, I'll be in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, doing another speaking event, and then the week after that, I'll be in Sutton, West Virginia, because the Fall Out for Hope, they're doing a costume contest down there, and I am heavily leaning into going down there to represent my Mothman character, meet some fans, take them on tours of the area, since I know the area so very well, as I have pontificated on multiple times in multiple
Unless you're looking
shows.
for a very particular cemetery that we never were able to find.
That was in Ohio. That was down there.
Yeah, well.
There's one down there where my family is buried, but the one we talk about, oh my
I always
god.
forget which state it was in that we're trying to find
No,
that.
because remember that was the day we went to Dravenstadt's. That's how I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that.
you're right.
Dravenstadt's.
You're right.
I still don't think that thing exists. I think it's folklore. I think that whole cemetery is nothing but folklore.
That's a story for you. That's a documentary for you.
Documentary for
The
your
Hunt for
face. The Hunt for the Red October. Did I ever see that movie? I did not. All I know is Sean Connery's in it. Yeah, that's all I know. All right. So it's time. Do you have the audio cues plugged in yet?
No, I haven't had the time. I've been trying to work on our intro thing to get that rendered, and it's been giving me fits. And then also what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to make, instead of just an audio cue, I'm trying to make a video audio insert for your dad jokes, so people can actually see me while I do the choir effect in triplicate. And maybe that'll be enough to put them off so that they'll turn the show off and they won't listen to your joke.
It's not the smartest thing you've ever done, I'll say that much.
Sheer genius.
I guess you want me getting coffin flopped. So anyways, yes, we are back in business. Business is booming. Giving you the business. Anyways, it is time for that beautiful thing we like to do so much. It's time for fatherly advice. Fatherly advice, aka dad jokes. It's time for
insert theme song
jokes.
Here.
Dad jokes.
Little flat, Susan.
Yeah, I don't sing. All right. All right, I don't sing. I'm not a singer.
Little flat, Susan.
I can't sing a little bit. I'm not gonna front, but I just.
Yeah, I didn't say you were terrible. I've heard some.
I was doing more of an imitation than I was doing some singing.
My singing is only good because I can stay on key. That's all. It doesn't mean that it's actually great singing. It just means it's like on the notes. That's what I'm supposed to guess.
Did I tell you? I don't know if I told you this. Did I tell you that I took out a loan to pay for an exorcism? Did I tell you that? I don't know if I told you this. Now, here's the stipulation. If I don't pay it back, I'm going to get repossessed.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do?
That wasn't really a stinger. That was more like just like a... That's that little mosquito that comes by that just, it's not quite big enough to cause you an issue. You wave it away and it's
great. Great. Anyways, so what I want to do is tonight we're going to be talking about possession, like I said, but I'm going to talk about it more from the psychological aspect of it than anything else. And I'm going to start by playing the tapes of Annalise Michael, one of the big exorcism that they did in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, because she was afflicted by demons. I'm going to play a little bit of it, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's not copyrighted because it's old. I'm not saying that it's old, but like it's not copyrighted in the sense that no big entertainment company owns it. It's just something that it is. So we're gonna play a little bit of this. I gotta switch over to I gotta remember how to do this.
Now, is it on a YouTube channel?
Yes.
We gotta credit that. We do gotta credit whoever.
Do we gotta credit that? All right. You want the channel name?
Yeah, let's just being professional.
You want the channel name?
Yeah.
Creep Freak. CREAP/FREEK. Creep Freak.
I see what they did there.
Yeah.
I see what they did there.
So let me see here. Share screen. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're gonna play this, and then we're gonna go from there. Don't mind my playlist; it's a little bit wonky. It's actually a really good playlist, actually.
Ja, ale nie wenigste pęd. Ja. Kirche wird am allerwenigsten weil die Pfarrer ja das für unmodern hat. Ja. Fast.
There is some language here, so just of note. Can you hear this?
No, I can't. I don't know if you can or the people can.
I
If
can
anybody
hear it.
wants to jump in the chat, I feel like I can hear it on the phone where StreamYard actually is, but that would make sense. I wouldn't be able to hear it over here.
There's a growl I'm looking for. This is in Italian, or German, so I don't know what it's really saying. Right there it is. So it's that deep growl for me. All right, so we're gonna. I just want to play a little bit of that for y'all. So there we go. So that is part of the exorcism of Annalise Michael. Annalise Michael was a young lady that was afflicted with what was believed to be multiple demons. However, it seemed more like she suffered from epilepsy, borderline bipolar, paranoid schizophrenia, things like that. Just her body didn't, her brain didn't. It was her worst enemy. In a sense. And so I have been listening to this. I've been watching videos on exorcism, watching exorcisms today. And I get a feeling that maybe in the case of hers, at least, I don't think it's necessarily demonic possession. And I say this in regards to it being more of a mental disorder. I think that demonic possession is more along the lines of greed and covetousness and doing things of that nature. Things that revolve around you not caring about somebody and stepping on their toes to get advancement in your life. Another thing that I find to be very odd is a lot of times these so-called demons speak in the same language. They can't speak in any other language. And I saw a funny article that said, demons, whenever there's demonic possession, do they only know Old German? Do they only know Latin? Are they that dumb? And then do they only speak of a language that has existed for like a small span of time? If we consider other languages, if we consider English, things like that, and it's a dead language. So why would you speak a dead language to people who can't understand it? And I also find it to be kind of amazing that the Catholic Church themselves, the higher ups, when they conquered pagan lands, they brought pagan idols into the church itself, and they brought pagan beliefs. And I'm not saying this to ruffle feathers, but they, this is facts. This is actual been proven fact. But they did this.
We talked about Christmas.
Yes.
We talked about Christmas in one of our
and
old
Easter
episodes.
And all that.
Yep.
Because what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring in converts from these barbaric lands. It's not something that I'm like, I'm saying this to disrespect. This is historically proven fact. And I can, sit down with anybody who feels offended by it. If you're I have friends that are Catholics. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. That's their business. It's not my business. However, to say that cat to your right isn't part of the show is absurd. I saw it stick its head out, and I appreciate it, and I like it for what it is. Thank you, cat. But in all seriousness, I have to wonder if some of the deities of pagan mythology, pagan ideology, trickster gods, if you will, sort of came over when the two things were combined, when Catholicism and pagan beliefs were combined. Because something I've noticed, and this is, if I'm wrong, by all means, please correct me, because I don't, I haven't studied up on exorcisms as much as maybe I should have or should. But I don't see any other religion in Christianity doing exorcisms. I see it in, we talked about snake handling, and that's a thing in the Appalachian Mountains where they do that. However, I don't know of any other sect in Christianity, denomination, that has exorcisms. Catholicism is the only one, to my knowledge. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, to my knowledge, that has exorcisms, that has these, and they're very drawn out. If anybody's ever seen an actual exorcism, I've watched quite a few. They're very drawn out. They involve the rosary. They involve the it's a scarf that priests wear. There's a name for it. I'm sorry, it escapes me at present. But they put that on them. They, do all this. They do all that, and they get it from Jesus casting out demons in the New Testament. But if you look at the Old Testament, there's not too much demonic possession going on, and the small amount of demonic possession that occurs in the New Testament was to teach a lesson. It didn't happen just to happen. It was to teach a lesson to people who read the New Testament. The error of falling into traps of greed, lust, the quote unquote 7 deadly sins, as they like to call them. But I have to wonder why Catholicism is the only one that has exorcisms, when I've never seen, outside of Shintoism, and I believe Buddhism has something akin to demonic possession, but not in the same regard, I should say.
More like malignant spirits. They're trying to ask them to hey, stop tormenting this person. Here's a gift to go do something else. We'll appease you and you'll leave. So,
and Islam too. Islam has jinn, where jinn supposedly possess people, and it's kind of very similar to exorcisms, but jinn are different than demonic possession. Jinn are actually supposedly much like human beings. They can choose to follow God, or they can choose to follow Iblis. It's up to them. It's a free will. They're almost like another dimensional being, but like humans. But for the most part, Lutherans don't do exorcisms. Baptists don't do exorcisms. Pentecostals don't. So it's kind of like
Protestants.
Do they? Do Protestants?
No. Well, all of those are basically Protestant versus Catholic. Those are your two main divergence, right?
Yes.
Your Catholics and your Protestants, early on, they didn't even necessarily do exorcists. They just basically killed you. It was like the Inquisition. It was different things like that. And Protestants, when they came here to the colonies and that kind of thing, did pretty much the same thing, because you had the witch burnings and all that. But after that, they decided they were just going to kind of move on and not do anything, whereas Catholics moved on to exorcisms rather than straight out executions, which is slightly better, I guess. But you don't, from that point on, when they kind of dropped the whole burnings and killings and Inquisition kind of style of doing things, you're right, you didn't see much of that kind of behavior on the Protestant end. You don't see it in Methodists, Lutherans, Baptists, all that other kind of stuff. I mean, in Baptists, you do have stuff like that sometimes. Like, even you go to the mega churches and the big TV stuff, you'll see, oh yeah, come up on stage, you're possessed by a demon. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then they'll pop them on the head and things.
And to your point, not to interrupt you, I went to a church like that, right? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like the exorcisms I have seen, right? The accursed, quote unquote, is violent. They're spitting, they're acting crazy, they're talking in a different language, things of that nature, as to where, like you said, the more charismatic churches, the Ernest Angley churches, that's the mega church I can think of that did this. And I was there. I had seen this for myself. Not one time was there ever like a wild person that accosted Angley or anybody that was there. It was more like, you've got the diamond of
let me smack your head.
Yeah. Which is more akin to what I think of demon possession, is that greed, that hatred, just trying to step on other people to get to the top. To me, that's demonic possession. It's not the craziest. I think, in my personal opinion, the crazy spitting, I think that's a neurological issue. And what happens is, you are in a church, and I'm not going to say, religion brainwashes. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not that person.
More caught up in the moment.
Yes, and I think too, when you have that background, because Annalise had that background. She had the background of being in the Catholic Church. She was a devout follower. So when her brain started to trick her, it essentially turned the one thing that she was deeply into against her. All these demons that had inhabited her body, this, that, and the third. And if we read the Bible, read the text, we can see that the demons that possessed people did things. They had them doing things. It wasn't just, oh, okay, that person is is crazy. I mean, they did have a couple of like supposed crazy folks, but for the most part, it was like, so when Jesus is speaking to the Sanhedrin, they try to trick him up, and he says, "Hey, devil, get up out of here. You're trying to trip me up." But that's a small portion of the Bible itself, and it isn't the overarching theme. The theme is, Jesus' love and believe in him, and treat people like they deserve to be treated. And they take that little bit of text, because it's very small compared to the rest of the New Testament. It's very small when he's talking about casting out demons and doing this. And when I watch these exorcisms, they don't really cast them out. The one I'd watched one, because I'd watched a couple. Nat Geo had one about a boy in the Philippines that was, and if anybody knows about the Philippines, they're very Catholic based. Mexico, a lot of countries are Catholic based. A lot of people in other countries revere the Pope. We don't. I don't think that man is any greater. I don't think there's a man that's better. I don't believe in saints. I don't buy into all of that. I believe we have the power of God here. I mean, Genesis 1:26, God made man in his own image and his own likeness. I believe we are essentially gods ourselves. We got that power from him. So why should we be worried about demons and demonic possession? Because to us, if God made us more powerful than them, and it literally says he made us more powerful than the angels, more powerful than the demons, we're his favorite. So why on God's green earth would we have to worry about demonic possession? Now, this is where I, kind of point to a different aspect. Greed, like I stated earlier, and I always say that is a sign of demonic possession. That is a sign of somebody, eschewing their wholesome morals, values, to do something wicked, right? I don't think that demonic possession is The Exorcist or anything like that. I think that a lot of that, especially with Annalise, because you read that she was given all of these drugs, right? And you read that she had epileptic seizures. And if anybody's ever had epileptic seizures, I have not, thank God, knock on wood. And a big shout out to people who have those. Like, it sucks. And, I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm digging a hole here and saying this, but, well, I feel for you, but that epileptic seizures can cause brain problems. It can cause mental issues. It's something that can really tear a person down. And when you continuously have them, right, it can damage the brain. And so in her case, after studying her case, and, if you give somebody a cocktail of drugs, which they did kind of give her that, and then she didn't take her medication as she was supposed to. Now, doctors will tell you, take the medication as advised. If you don't take the medication as advised, there could be problems. I think that was another case of it. I think her devout Catholicism kind of rooted deep in here, right? Because if both me and Spider kind of grew up in the church. He grew up in one church, I grew up in another, but we have that framework. No matter what we believe today, we both went to church and we both kind of had that church background.
Methodists first, Baptist next.
Baptist, and then Baptist, and then Baptist, and then Universalist, which is where I sit now. But we have that background. So if our brain was going to play tricks, why would it not do trick it on the most important thing? And to Annalise, that was the most important thing. She it goes on to say that she saw the vision of Mary. And a lot of times they revere Mary, like she's this holier than thou figure. I don't personally, but I'm not gonna, if that's you, that's you. But it said that Mary came to her and said, "You have to suffer for other people," which really, to be honest with you, isn't in line with Scripture. It's not there. It doesn't say that you have to suffer for other people. It says you have to, eschew the world's ideology, and yes, you're going to suffer, but Christ is the only one that suffered for other people. He's the end all be all. I know in the Christian faith, he suffered for everybody's sins. But the Virgin Mary appeared to her, told her, you got to pay a penance for these other people, which I found to be strange. And then there was all these demons inside of her, and Satan was one, and then there was a couple others. But to me, it's like when you read the text, when you read the Bible, when you read these other texts, you see that demonic possession isn't necessarily in that regard. And to me, giving people these drugs, right? And we're talking 70s. We're not talking nowadays. We're talking 1960s, 70s. Drugs were different. Drugs are way different than they were now. And they didn't know the side effects. And so to me, it just seems like she had more of a mental breakdown than anything else. I do not think it was demonic possession. There's so much involved in this case, to me anyways, a lot of everybody has their opinion, that says more of a neurological impairment than it does anything else, because she was a devout Catholic. And she couldn't go into these monasteries. She couldn't go here. Holy water smelled horrible to her. These other priests, and there was like 2 or 3 other priests before the one that would like do the exorcism, that said you need to take her to see a neurologist. You need to take her to see somebody that actually deals with brain functionality, because that's what we think this is. We think this is more of a issue of her brain chemicals having an imbalance and some things that are not going right inside of her head. And then you had one of them that said, she's possessed, but he was also kind of crazy. So it's like you have these priests that say, listen, you need to take her to a doctor. You got to take her to somebody that actually can help with mental impairments, things of that nature, because she's not possessed. She's neurologically off. Her brain just doesn't seem to want to play nice with her, and I've said this before. I think that is probably the worst thing in the world, is when your own brain turns against you and becomes your worst enemy, and it's the case. The whole case is sad itself. I have read a copious amount of articles, watched videos, listened to the exorcism tapes that we listened to earlier regarding Annalise, and my heart hurts for her, because she was just a young girl. She was somebody's child. They took the parents to court, said it was negligent homicide, and that's just that. And my host is messing with something over there, probably an animal of some form. He's smiling giddily. He's just chilling. Maybe he's possessed by boredom. Nobody knows. Anyways, so to me, I think her case, and I don't know how much of her case you've actually read, Spider, yourself, but her case seems more of a mental instability than an actual demonic possession.
Well, that's what a lot of this stuff is. And when you get into possession and you branch out into the wider definition of it, like we're going to talk about a little bit later on, you've got demonic possession, you've got spirits, you've got people say they've been possessed by aliens because of technology and things like that. And this is the same kind of thing. I mean, a lot of it is people they've had problems in their life already. And they've had either a history where bad things have happened to them, or they're going through a real stressful time and they're going through a break. Basically, something's breaking. And so what do? They fill it with some kind of a fantasy.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I mean, this happens a lot more often than we think. A lot of people do this and they fill it with a fantasy that's more good. And they're like, okay, whatever. I'm going to have my midlife crisis. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then we all kind of settle down and be like, okay, I went a little nuts there, had some stress, just, broke down, needed to do something. And yeah, maybe caused some problems, but I'm good now. But the rare few people that really take that, and that number unfortunately is increasing. You're hearing more about it all the time. These are the people who are going to go out, shoot up a place, and I don't say that flippantly. It sounds like I do, but I don't. Just for language, they go and they do this, and then they'll say, "Oh, I did this because this deity told me to, or I had to do it because of this ideal, or because of this, because this."
That seems more demonic possession than anything else. But once again, and you bring up a good point, and I want to get into this because I didn't want to forget what my point here. But what if alien abductions, right, and demonic possession are the same thing? It's all a mental thing. Now, but you have guys like Whitley Strieber that will take that alien abduction to the grave, right? And I'm not going to discount him. I've tried to get him on the show. Please believe, folks. I've sent message in that he is left your boy on red. Right, left me on red. Whatever. I'm not the most famous person. I get it, but my whole thing with that is how much of what you're saying is true. Because here's the thing: nobody can prove it. Nobody can prove that you were actually abducted by aliens. Nobody. And I think the brain does a good job of, if he took a lie detector test, well, Dude, it was radical.
Yeah, I got to get a better, more stable spot for this because I keep trying to move my foot, and so I kick my entire setup over, and it just sends people flying through the air.
That's demonically possessed, is what that is.
I'm sure it's entertaining. Like people are just like, "Oh my gosh, the demons! They got him! He's talking too much." We had that in the debut, and we did this, and now we got it. Now it's a recurring theme.
Right. No, but what if that's all in the mind? And I'm not saying that it's not, but to me, much like exorcisms, much like all this, how much of it is mental? Like, how much of what Whitley Strieber went through is real, and how much of it is his own mind? And I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, right? There's been numerous reports of humans being experimented on by their governments, right? We have them here in the United States. But to me, it just is like, I feel like there'd be a bigger case. And I feel like the same with demonic possession. It'd be a wider thing, especially in today's day and age of everybody having a cell phone. Everybody and their brother has a cell phone, right? And to me, it seems if alien abductions, if demonic possessions were actually that serious, there would be more of it. There'd be a copious amount of footage of proof. And I'm not saying maybe they got some alien technology that scrambles phones.
Funny. All the technology in the world, and I've seen this said by many people before, all this great technology in the world, and the best you can do for Bigfoot is
a blurry picture. They can get
shaky phone, blurry picture.
Right.
We got all these things.
Catch thieves at Walmart like the clear, like crystal clear, like we're saying now, but Bigfoot, it looks like somebody of a 1984 camcorder, the big Hulk.
We got drones and stuff that can
facts
narrow down things down to a millimeter and whatnot. And and I don't want to discount, I don't want to say, oh, that's proof that there's no Bigfoot. I just want to say that,
right.
If it was something that was really common, like you're saying, if these abductions and the demonic possession, all this stuff was something that was really common, yes, people would catch more of it. And the stuff that we do catch, people get video of a demonic possessed man, and it's like, he's just freaking out. He's off. He's going through withdrawals or something.
Yes.
I don't think it's a possession. And then the church videos, like we talked about, with the bop on the head, those go around all the time. It's the same kind of stuff.
So, okay, let me ask you this. When do you think it actually becomes demonic possession? Because I do believe in demonic possession. I do believe that is a possibility. Alien abductions, that's a little bit harder for me to believe, and I'll tell you why. Because, like you said, with everybody having phones, you don't think nobody can catch that? You think they have secret technology that blocks that out? Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But we're resilient as a species. Somebody would be like, well, they can't pick up my 1982 VHS tape camcorder. Got them. You know what I mean? Where do you think the line is drawn between hey, Deadpool head 888 is up in here. He says I can catch that. But where do you think that demonic possession begins, and or where do you think that mental instability ends and demonic possession begins?
Well, the thing of it is, and we briefly touched on it a little bit earlier, is that, and last, like, I think it was even last show, either the last show or the show before, not the interview we had, but the last regular show we had, we talked about how it's really not very effective for like a demon or even an alien or wherever to just pick on one person just to mess with their head.
Yes.
You know, because that doesn't seem like, you're not going to scare a wide group of people.
No.
You'll scare their immediate family, but somebody might come in and help them out. So what are you going to do if you're this supernaturally powerful being?
Right.
What are you going to do to have the biggest impact? You're going to do something deliberate, something focused, something that's going to get on the news probably.
Yes.
Like it could very well be a shooting. It could very well be a bombing. It could be very well be some kind of terrorist action. It could be starting a war somewhere. It could be all kinds of things. And we see things like that a lot. There is a lot of that going around.
Right.
But that's also hard to tell whether it's just,
there you
it
go.
could be somebody that snapped because a lot of people snap. It's everybody is super stressed right now. The world is a very stressful place.
Hollywood, music, that's where it would be. The brainwashing of people, the things they teach children in schools these days, that's where the demonic possession is going to occur. You know, that's where the brainwashing happens, because what they're teaching children in school today is horrific. It's horrible. You know, we didn't learn this stuff because we didn't need to. You don't teach elementary children the things they're trying to teach kids these days. It's wickedness. It's evil. It's demonic, you know, and we're not going to get into it. That's some Uncanny After Dark things, but trust me, we are not happy with the education system. And as parents, you have to unlearn your children the wickedness that the public school will teach your children. You know, you can't let the public school teach your children and you're not teaching them. You got to teach them the truth, right? And what they're teaching in public schools isn't the truth. It's a mix of political nonsense. It's a mix of people's feelings and emotions, and it's not rooted in fact. And that right there is a problem. But we won't get into that. But that's where the demonic possession happens. It's not just somebody out in Kansas or somebody out in Spain or somebody out in Czechoslovakia that's cursing God, having epileptic seizures. It's deeper than this, because like you said, why? If you want to have the most maximum impact, you're not going to have one person, some poor farmer out in the Philippines who's saying they're seeing demons. That's just not. That's not. If you believe in the Bible, you believe in the Quran, that's not the way you trick a whole bunch of people. That's how you just get like a little bit of fanfare. Then it goes away. I don't know too many people that know about Annalise outside of myself and now you and a couple other people that I've actually told. So for me, like the whole throwing up, the whole spitting up, the whole doing this, doing that, I think is more, and just to be honest with you, is more of a mental thing than it is an actual possession.
And you talk about the biblical background to some of this, and that reinforces the point, because when you read the stories in the biblical verses, whether you're a believer or not, we're not going to get into that. It's when you read it, if somebody, when Jesus would show up to a place where there was somebody who was supposed to be demonically possessed, he heard stories about it first. Like the whole town knew about it. The whole city knew about it. It wasn't like just their family or something. It wasn't like this close guarded thing. And maybe it's just because they weren't as private then as they are now, but I can't believe in every single case that it would be like that.
Yes.
It's that this is something that truly, this person is doing things that are dangerous, that are like scaring people. This is like a widespread, hey, this person is trouble. It's not just like, oh, we heard that their daughter is possessed by a demon. She spits her soup all the place. And it's like, you
She
know,
threw her
it's
gazpacho against the
it's
wall.
not gossip. It's like people were genuinely afraid, which is why he would go and be like, okay, well, let's go take a look at this and see what you're talking about. Because he didn't instantly just believe, okay, it's got to be demons. Let me go deal with that.
Yes.
He would
Yes.
go check it out and talk to them first. And
Yes.
sometimes
100%.
it probably wasn't. I'm sure more stories than what got into there, assuming there's facts involved with all that, is that
Yes.
there's probably more times where he showed up and could be like, oh, we got demon possession here. And he was just like, no, you don't. Let me look at it.
100%.
They're okay. They're going through a tough time. It's okay. And then the ones that may have been for real may have ended up in the text. Who knows? We don't know for sure.
Right,
But
right. And I think
like
too, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's like I said, it would be something more widespread. More people would know about it. More people would talk about it. It'd be big news.
Right. And the thing too is, I think he healed a lot of people of mental disabilities, like the mental aspect of it. I think he went through and healed a lot of those people. Deadpool in the chat says, possess a big celebrity or president or something, right? To try to gain control of whomever has the most eyes on them. Right there. There it is. Because
And that could be happening right now too.
We have had accounts of different celebrities and people and musicians that lived a good life, and all of a sudden they've turned and they talk about the one thing that kind of annoys me though is the whole ideology of selling your soul. You can't, in my personal opinion, you can't sell your soul. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. The God created it. It's his. If God created the soul, it belongs to him. It's not something that the devil can take. The devil can't get you in the middle of the night and take your soul. You can't sell it. I think that what happens is people believe that so wholeheartedly that it becomes manifest in a way like, we've had this conversation. We can manifest our destiny. We can manifest, if you want something to happen, it'll happen if you just sit there and focus upon that one thing. And I've had this happen in my life multiple times. So to me, it's like, you got all these people, but you have these celebrities that said, yeah, I was possessed and this, that, and the third. And maybe that's because that's where you want to get somebody. You don't want to get Jim down the street. You want to get so-and-so that's an actor or that people look up to, because you're not going to get anybody with Jim. You might get one person, right? But with a Hollywood actor, or especially musicians, music is a very powerful thing. Music is a very powerful thing. You might get somebody there. But my whole thing too is, why is it only Catholics? Why is it only Catholicism that has these exorcisms and that has the demonic possession aspect? Like you said, I mean, we can go to more charismatic things, but they just say, you're the demon of smoking. Get the demon of smoking out of you, and they'll tap forehead, right? But why is it only Catholicism where they're screaming, spitting, doing this, that, and the third? Are they exercising pagan beings? So Deadpool says the way you're talking, it sounds like the stories of demon deals. You believe it's a law of attraction. Yes, 100%. I do believe it's a law of attraction. I also believe it's who you know. Because I don't believe you can sell your soul. I don't believe that. I think that's something that people made up. I don't believe your soul is something that you can't just put it on eBay, right? Because how would somebody go about getting your soul when you pass? Demons can't have it, because here's the thing. It says in the Bible, depending on the denomination you believe, that there's an end time where there's judgment, right? God is the final judge on humanity, if you believe in that, right? So how would a demon be able to have your soul if God's the final judge? And God's going to throw the demons and Satan in the lake of fire. So in certain Christian ideologies, I don't personally believe that at all. I have a theory about that, but it usually riles up your baseline Christians. They get all mad at me and want to call me a heretic. But how is it that the demons have your soul when God's the ultimate judge? He's going to throw, according to some, he's going to throw you and the demons in the same lake of fire. They didn't get that soul, so what does that mean, right? So to me, it's just like, it's ridiculous in that nature. That I think these bargains that people take, no, no, angels and demons can touch souls. If you read in the Bible, we were made above the angels. We are God's favorite being that he's ever created. He said, I give you authority over angels and demons, both of them. We got authority over both of them. And only God can, yes, because we come from him. Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image and our likeness. Let us make him in our image, meaning we make him. The angels didn't make us. The demons didn't make us. He made us. So yes, he made our souls. They can't be taken. They can't be bought. They can't be sold. It's he owns us. And I don't mean that like in a way of like disrespectful, but like he made our souls. He is the sole person, being that made us. So to think that because of our souls, they can just be taken or bought, it doesn't make sense to me. So no, angels and demons cannot touch our souls. The only thing they can do is, according to some people, give us guidance. But if you really read the Old and New Testament and you read the Gnostic concepts and you read this, that, you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, you realize that God gave us power. God gave us the ability to be our own gods here on this planet. Being able to manifest, we can have children, we can have kids, we can, control our own destinies. To me, all this whole angels and demons thing, having a guardian angel, it says in the Bible that angels are encamped around us. But once again, God made us the supreme superior beings over both of them, and in the Quran, it says that Iblis and some of the other angels were so upset that God had made a superior being. They refused to bow down to Adam. They refused to bow down to Adam. They didn't want to do it. So, Allah said, okay, cool. You're gone. Jesus went out and he removed demons. Peter, the disciples did the same thing. They cast out demons too. So yes, I believe 100% that we are a God in our own realm, and I believe that we have the ability to do the things within our own structure, mind you, because we can create. We can destroy. We do it all the time. We create and destroy all the time. I just don't think that we are on the same level as God. I think that we are on a level below, but I think that we can create and destroy. I mean, we build buildings, we destroy buildings. That's a simple example. But if you've ever seen people build a building, a skyscraper, I've seen these things. I've also seen a skyscraper being imploded. It happened in downtown Akron 10 years ago. They removed one building so they could put something else there. And that's us destroying something and rebuilding. Destroy, build, destroy, build. That's what we do. And God does the same thing. And it's evident in both Old and New Testament. He even talks about the temple rent, the cloth being ripped, and being destroyed. He talks about Solomon's temple being destroyed and then being rebuilt, but being rebuilt in Christ, not being rebuilt in a building. Because once Christ came, it was the way for all mankind to be reconciled with God. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic here, and this is turning more into a religious discussion. I apologize for that. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anybody. That would be.
I was going to say we're going to have to give you another show so you can have a Bible study.
And I don't want to. I don't want to. And I want to tell all of you now. If you believe different than me in Christianity, or you have your own religious belief, that's fine. Me and my co-host, we don't believe the same at all. However, I respect his viewpoints and he respects mine, and that's it. Deadpool says he created us, and without him, we would not exist or have the knowledge and powers that we do. I believe God implanted his power within each human being. It's up to each human being to discover this power. 100% fact. I like to look back at history and how far we have come. In that day and age, go back just a few hundred years ago, and they would think our technology is infallible magic. However, yes, to a point. However, we're in a cycle. we are in a cycle. And I think my co-host believes a little bit similar to how I believe in this regard, that we are in a cycle. Our ancestors, if we go back, I'm not talking like you said, 100 years. I'm talking before the reset. And I think that there's a cycle of resets that we live in. And I think I want to say it's either Buddhism or the other one that's real popular in India. There's Buddhism, and then there's oh my goodness, what's the other one, Spider? There's Buddhism, and what's the other one in India?
Hinduism.
Yes. One of those two has a cycle of rebirths. I forget which one it is, but it's like every so many years there's a cycle of rebirth, and I think that's what we have. I think that's what we have. I think we have cycles of rebirth, because if we go back, and I'm going to use the game to sort of, yes, and it's funny you say pyramids, because I was just about to use this game. Assassin's Creed Origins, you play as Bayek, and he's going through these different locations in Egypt, and they're older in his time. They're ancient in his time. And we go back and we start reading that Antarctica might have been this different place. The Sahara might have been this bountiful place. And we read, and we talked about, you and I talked about, Spider. I think it was, oh my God, it was back in March. We had that episode about India. And I know you remember this. We talked about the nuclear war that had happened in Rajasthan, right? Where they found the crater and the radioactiveness. I think that, yes, I think we're just living a cycle. I think everybody goes through cycles. I think it's like we get so high, we build ourselves up so high, and then we destroy ourselves. I think that's what human beings do. I think we destroy ourselves, then we rebuild again, and each time we get a little bit further, we get a little bit further, we get a little bit further, and this time we're a little bit further now. And so to me, I think that we're in an age of maybe being a little bit more technologically advanced, but I think we're just going to destroy ourselves again. I think that we're going to do something stupid like we've done in the past and blow ourselves up, because that's what mankind does. Mankind is a very violent species. We're probably the most violent thing on the planet, because we will kill each other just for the fun of it. We'll blow each other up. We'll take each other's stuff because we can. And I think that we're just living a cycle. I think if the Library of Alexandria was still here, we would know exactly what we were before we were what we are now. So anyways, we went totally off topic here, but
that was two different shows.
Those two different shows, 100%. But Deadpool came in with the heat, with the comments and the questions, the comments and the questions. So I got to give it to you, like, please comment. But yeah, so possession. I think that, and the funny thing is there have been documented cases of earlier possessions. We had a show on demonic possession, probably like a year and a half ago. Now, here's the thing, Deadpool. He says not to be down, but I agree, and I personally think we're going to be lucky to survive past 2050. No, dude, listen. We want comments on the show. Like, I love comments. I love interacting with all of you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. I think that we'll make it past 2050 only if we can extend our outreach to the stars. I think if we do not do that, we are doomed. If we cannot get people to Mars, to the moon, because Mars, if we get people to Mars, that's a jump off point, right? You get people to Mars, and then you can start jumping to other planets. You can't go to the gas giants, obviously, because you'll fall through the middle. But you can go to I think Ganymede, the moon of Jupiter was one. Io might be another. Titan, I think they were looking at being able to set up a refinery and be able to put the proper fuel into spaceships to keep pushing into deep space.
Enceladus.
Yeah, where's that at?
I think that's another one of. I think it's another one of Jupiter's moons.
Jupiter's got like 30 some odd moons.
Jupiter and Saturn, yeah,
and a heck of a werewolf problem. But yeah, they got like each one has like 30 some odd moons, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Hmm.
Saturn, I think, has more. So it's like, but I think we can. And I think too, the thing we have to realize is that and this is something to get back on topic before we close, because we're almost done for tonight's episode. I think that we have to get past this archaic notion of religious ideology in terms of because I think demonic possession, because I've never seen a demonic possession that doesn't involve in stuff I've read either Islam or Christianity, even Judaism. The Philippines, they talk about it, but it, like Spider said at the beginning of the show, it was more of, okay, it's a trickster thing, right? Same with Norse mythology, it's a trickster thing, right? Give us some snacks and we'll take off. Like when me and Spider come to your house, if you want us to leave, feed us and give us some drinks and we'll go. But it seems like the three Abrahamic faiths, right, are the ones that have the most possession based concepts. I don't, and I could be wrong. I don't know every Native American belief, but I don't know if there's a lot of possession in Celtic, Native American, and if there is, like, you'd be able to speak to this a little bit better than I can, Spider.
Not as much. Occasionally, like people will get like controlled by the Fey folk for different things. Went down the wrong pipe there, didn't it? But not as often, and usually it's not in specifically malicious ways. People don't often like get possessed in ways that makes them like go off and kill people and things like that. Now, interestingly enough, the ancient Greek stories, you had stories like where Hercules was basically possessed by Hera
Yeah.
and murdered his family. But that was a god. That was a god directly coming down and be like, I'm going to take your body while you're like asleep,
And
murder
wasn't
your
that just
family.
one occurrence of that? Like, I
Yep.
don't think that was a multiple occurrence thing.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't like,
yeah,
it wasn't a big deal. And then the only other time that you hear about it on this side of the world is in the Caribbean nations where you have like voodoo and things like that, because you have
yeah.
the Bokar,
You're right.
who
You're right.
supposedly like raised you as a zombie and collects your soul in the jar and things like that. But that's a whole different way of doing that, and it's not necessarily possession classically the way that we relate to it on the other side. So,
You're right.
and we have had another show on that, if I remember right, in the past. So if anybody wants to
Voodoo.
know
Yeah,
more
we did
details
a voodoo
about
show.
that,
Yep.
they can go back and listen to that.
Because see, Spider is like the guy that knows the stuff that I don't know in terms of like the other nations and things like that. I also
Voodoo
know
is
that
super interesting.
well, Japan's the same way. Like supposedly, like the spirits would get inside people and cause them to do things. But that's sort of like a prevalent thing, but it's not something that. Okay, I'll put it like this: when I looked up exorcisms today, right? Not one of them was a belief outside of Catholicism. Um, I looked up jinn possession, right? There was nothing that was outside of Islam. And that's it. Like that's the thing that really boggles my mind. You don't have demons or Marduk. I've never once seen somebody possessed be like, I'm Marduk. What's up? It's your boy
Yeah,
Marduk. You know what I mean?
Sumerian had encounters with evil spirits,
Yes.
and supposedly people would sometimes get influenced by evil spirits.
And they would wrap like honey around their head in a claw thing. Like
Yeah,
they didn't do these crazy exorcisms. And I think, and not to derail you, but I think that the exorcisms make the possession worse. I think they make the victim worse because they're already tuned to
they
disrespect anything
perpetuate the
religion.
belief. They
Yes.
perpetuate the belief that, oh, really, I am possessed? Oh my gosh. And then now they believe
Yes.
it more strongly, and it's
Yes.
more difficult to get that uprooted.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, everyone, that this show got derailed. So I did not expect that. How would you feel about us maybe doing a Thursday show next week, just so we can get it in? Would that be? Could you make a Thursday show?
It would require some maneuvering on my part, but it could be done. I would just have to
We
make
can
sure
talk
that,
about it. We can talk about it.
yeah,
We can talk about
just
it.
got to make
No
sure that
worries.
the room was empty. That's all.
No worries. We can talk about it. Yeah, and thank you, Deadpool. The voodoo episode was fantastic. I enjoyed that episode, by the way.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I appreciate you. Deadpool came in hot. He came in just busting out the chat. Thank you, Deadpool, man. You're an awesome dude. Much love to you. Y'all go check out Deadpool Head 8888. No, I said there. I did 403.
It's 3
Deadpool
8s.
Head 888. My guy's on Twitch. Y'all go follow him. Go follow him on Twitch right now. Y'all go follow him on Twitch. He does awesome streams. He's a good dude, solid guy, good friend. Y'all go follow him. Good guy. But yeah, it's insane that that the possession aspect is just straight one-sided, and that's really what gets it for me. Is the videos I watched today, they were all Roman Catholics, and it would say Roman Catholic. And remember, Roman, right? Romans believed in, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, like all of those, which were also Greek, right? Because Greek was, I think,
Renamed from the Greek gods
yes,
because that's
yes.
where they based their religion from.
Yes. And you team that with pagan ideologies because they had to bring the pagans in, right? So they brought the pagans in because Constantine converted to Christianity, right? So when they brought the other ones in, why not sprinkle a little bit of paganism in it, right? So this way you bring in the pagans. So I think that Roman Catholicism is a mix of Roman, right? What would you call that? Roman? Is that like, what would you call that religion?
Well, there's Orthodox, and then there's
No.
there's a
I
couple
mean
different.
the Jupiter, Mars, all that. What would you call that?
Oh, that's just Roman Orthodoxy, basically.
So
That's
you
what it
have
was back
that,
in the day.
Christianity and pagan beliefs all in one. So it's like a hot mess of beliefs. And I think that because listen, and listen, like I said, if any of you out there, if I'm wrong, I'll admit to it. Send me links, send me something that proves otherwise, because until then, Catholicism just seems to be less Christian and more mythology based. And a key point to make that I just thought of in my head, you have so many saints that are the saint of this and that, just like you had the Roman gods that were the god of this and that, right? If you read the Bible, there is no saints. You don't have any saints. Nobody needs to be venerated. The Mary wasn't venerated. She didn't up herself. There was no need to venerate her. Christ himself didn't need to be venerated. He didn't say, you better do this, you better that. He said, listen, love your fellow man as you do yourself and help people out. Be a good person. Don't be a jerk. He said, and they worshiped him. And he was man and God, and so to me, it's like Roman Catholicism is more mythology and less God based. And, if that upsets some people, that's fine. I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. But it seems like the idea of saints being the patron saint of is really close to, Mars being the god of war, because Aries was the god of war. And I think Mars and Aries are the two that are interchangeable there. I think it's Jupiter and Zeus, and Hades, and I forget, Pluto, I think, is the other one. I can't remember if that was the god of Hades, if you will. And it just feels like that Roman Catholicism just took the gods and put saints. You have the patron saint of such and such. You have the god of such and such. I'm just saying. Anyways, y'all, it's time for us to skedaddle daddle. As always, I'm your host, Robert Solomon. With me, my best buddy, one of my good friends, the guy that has the Transformers in the background. Show him a quick Transformer. Just show him a quick one. Just grab one and tell him what it is and show it to him. Tell him who it is.
This is my boy. This is Shockwave right here.
Shockwave.
Shockwave. Not the sound, the shock. Shocky. Oh yeah, that's right.
Big time. There's Shockwave. I'll show you guys something too. Here's a Pikachu. I've had this Pikachu since I was 19 years old. So there's a battery that needs to go in it, but it's Pikachu. Pika. It actually would squeeze, but I need to replace the battery. So, anyways, y'all, next week we'll be back with another episode of This Uncanny Earth. And you know what? I'm going to let my co-host pick it because he doesn't pick topics. He never picks topics. He just sits there and shows off his Transformers.
On this couch. Yeah.
He just sits there on the couch and shows off his Transformers and cats. That's all he does.
That's the two constants in my life, robots and cats.
Robots.
When they combine, it's going to be robot cats.
If he gets a robot cat, then listen, I'm just going to.
My daughter has robot cats.
And I believe that. Anyways, y'all, we love you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. Thanks to everybody who supports the show. Please, if you can help, donate to the Patreon if you can. If not, that's okay. We understand. Patreon.com/This Uncanny Earth. Please, if you can, sign up. We got some good content coming. As soon as October ends, the documentaries will be coming out. I'm swamped. I've been swamped for the past 3 weeks with other stuff. I got a lot of other things going on in my personal life. October is a rough month because I got multiple conferences that I'm speaking at. So I apologize if both the Rogues Hollow documentary and the Lock documentary does not come out on time. That's my fault. I take full responsibility. It's not Spider's. He has been nothing short of amazing getting all the documentation, videos, all that to me. I don't know what he's doing there. It's making me a little angry. We'll probably fight next time I see him, but that's okay. And by fighting over,
it's possession. Possessed by the beat.
Okay. Anyways, y'all, you can't stay here, but you got to go home. And like we always say, why be boring when you can be uncanny? We will see you folks next week. Peace.